welcome to another edition of XFeed. Today, we're going to take things kind of slow. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Bang! We got 30 different things to go through today. We'll take our time, step by step. If this is the first time you are tuning in, my name's Schiller, talking about NFTs and all that kind of jazz for a while. But with the show, we go over some things that are in the headlines, and we're going to potentially talk about things you hold, potentially things you don't, but we just try to make things kind of interesting. So to kick things off, let's jump over to a post from Patrick Bush, who I have interviewed on the RWA Segments podcast. If you want to hear that again, check that out in the description below or in my X profile. ETH's trading share of Coinbase's spot volumes snapped a 7-quarter losing streak in the second quarter of 2024 and has been holding around 13.5% in Q3 of 2024 after bottoming at 12%. Okay, listen, who cares about the exact specifics, but let's look at the chart. In the red here is the Solana share, and again, this is Coinbase trading volume share compared, and then you can see the blue line is ETH, and you can see that Solana is really starting to pick up after kind of having, not as much of the share. So a lot of people that I know within the space, they're talking, being bullish on Solana. I feel like we don't really have a whole lot of conversations regarding the NFT space, just people saying, yo, we absolutely love what's going on with the token. Of course, Collector Crypt, one of the RWA platforms that does Pokemon cards and sport cards. I've interviewed them on the RWA Segments podcast too. So there is a lot building on there. But again, when you go down and you look at like the transactions for Solana, it's not as insane as Ethereum, but have you noticed with ETH as well that the gas fees aren't as crazy as they once were? So I want to jump over to some info about Doodles. There was a space today with Farouk for Rug Radio, and there's 2 different timestamps, and they're about 2 minutes each for these. But what I want to do is just give you kind of a perspective, because I kind of had the notion always that it felt like for Doodles, the big caveat with them is that the value is going to be derived from it becoming a mass IP, which, to be fair, that's what a lot of these different collections are. When you look at something that's yield bearing or based off something that is more than that, we've obviously run into some different issues, but it was intriguing hearing this. And this is Julian speaking, who is the CEO of Doodles. So again, 2 different timestamps. Here's the first one.
Ready to, and in our case, entertainment, when you're ready to bring that IP to the world, don't just give YouTube and Spotify all your content for free. Like, own the moment with your community. If people want to be part of that moment, make them pay for it. And then once you've had that moment with your community, bring it to the world. Still utilize YouTube because there is built-in network effects there. Still utilize Spotify because that's where the majority of content consumption happens. But there are other ways to really bring a core fan base together in an environment that you own. Think of like stand-up comedy right now. They're doing it in a really incredible way. Like I'm sure you guys are familiar with Andrew Schultz, but he actually bought his special back from Netflix, and instead of putting so he was supposed to go live on Netflix. He bought the special back, put it on Moment House, and sold early access viewing to the special on a direct-to-consumer platform, and made more money and recouped all that money that he was making from Netflix licensing it exclusively. And in this scenario, he doesn't sacrifice the direct relationship with his audience, and he makes more money than he would have made otherwise, and he still gets to put the content on YouTube later on down the road. For us, we think that's a really interesting format, especially when you tie it to digital collectibles that can kind of commemorate the moment. So all of our album art isn't pen, it's not like paper, it's actually NFTs. All of the posters, they're NFTs. And we have this collecting platform in the studio, which Doodles TV is ultimately a feature of, where not only do you get to be first to watch the content, you get to literally be in the know before anybody else. And by the way, like, being first is valuable in our society, right?
So it's a quick clip kind of talking about being first, having that early access to things, and then saying for the album artwork and obviously for their show and whatnot, when they release different posters for it, it is collectible, and this time as NFT. So that's the first portion of it that I thought was kind of interesting. And then jumping over to minute 51 here. And this is a little bit more directly about the Doodle NFTs.
Creating around the Doodles brand, we feel like we've rewarded engagement through airdrops, through like trait-based redeemable merch claims, through free tickets. Like our event at the Toronto International Film Festival is a holder exclusive. The only way you can get in is if you have an original collection. And by the way, like there's gonna be mad celebrities walking the red carpet. It's a huge.
No, this is a big deal. Toronto, huge film festival, right?
Huge film festival. So we believe that we've delivered, although it's kind of like one-off analog, like there's no real structure to it. What we are building into our software is structure to the rewards ecosystem, and there's going to be more that gets announced on that. But I think there's two ways to kind of close the loop on that question. One, the bigger the brand gets globally, the more people care about Doodles, the more people are going to know that that original collection is where it all came from. And the people that own that original collection are the ones that get the most likes on Instagram. They're the ones that get the most engagement on Twitter. Like that's a social club that you're a part of, that if you're a major fan and you want in, more and more, like, I mean, it's kind of natural what happens from there. And then the second part of it is we will actually be rewarding participation in a very forecastable way for people that are engaged in the ecosystem. So that is really it for us. Like
so that's kind of interesting where, again, the notion, I mean, I don't know. It feels almost like the conversations that we had back in the early days of NFTs of like, oh, if you have this certain one as your profile, you'll get a ton of followers and people will engage with you and talk about things. And it really does highlight kind of the social club aspect of things and kind of the value prop for it. Now, is that something that's exclusive to Doodles? No, but to the point being that if it is, a household name, IP, and something that people really and truly care about and like, well, then that's something that is special. So for whatever reason, over the weekend, Mr. Michael Saylor says his bull case for Bitcoin is $49 million by 2045. Kind of insane, to be honest, but I guess that's what's all about the headlines. So Illuvium's out. We've got a couple of bigger sales here. The largest Illuvium sale to date at one point was $136.34 for this fern. And then we saw some extra numbers. And again, this was from a few days ago, so it could be a little bit more, but about 5,000 players so far for Illuvium's official release. Now, jumping over to the Bitcoin event in Nashville, man, oh man, did it take over the timelines on the weekend. Everybody felt like they had a different opinion on it. And Tyler from RWA World was saying, I've noticed way more young families at Bitcoin Nashville than at ETH Denver. Now, is this a conversation about Bitcoin versus ETH? Is this just kind of a conversation about younger people in general? Well, that's kind of the question. Also, if you guys can hear the air conditioning unit into the microphone, please let me know and I will turn that off. Also, RFK, the presidential candidate, says, I have most of my wealth in Bitcoin. I am fully committed. Jan Van Eck from Van Eck also said that he had like over 30% of his portfolio within crypto as well. Very interesting seeing these very large figures just kind of in life coming out and saying such bullish happenings. And I moved the tabs accidentally, but back to the Illuvium here. RAM fee. Somebody paid $220 for the world first. So the question with these sort of things is, does this matter that it's the world first? Are there different provenance aspects for these games? Is it kind of like a cool, whatever? If you guys have looked on the YouTube channel, I have it pinned where you can see us mint the reveal ape for Bored Apes, where they needed to have like one after 6 p.m. on the day of the mint, or the day that it was supposed to reveal, because I think there was some mints prior to that, and we ended up minting that, and like nobody cared. There was a couple people that were like, "Yo, that's neat," but yeah, nobody cared, generally speaking. Some CyberKongz news introducing Emaki, a novel immersive storytelling experience that utilizes on-chain technology to reward and engage with physical and digital collectibles. So again, whenever we talk about these things, try to think of the conversation we just had from the CEO at Doodles, what their reward structure is, what their social aspects are. And again, we don't know everything as of yet, but we can compare and contrast. So technology to reward and engage with physical and digital collectibles, limited edition products, and dynamic partnerships, all brought to life through a story, a new horizon. The manga. This marks the first major step in releasing the CyberKongz lore and telling our story. The journey begins with Genkai manga, meticulously handcrafted by our artist and founder, Mio. So you can see how it shows chapter 1 of it, and then it goes down to chapter 2, 3, interactive storytelling. And within there, it says that the manga is accessible to all, where we've seen a lot of things within the Web3 space where it has been gated to be able to read. And from these Genkai Emakis, you either get the limited edition physicals or the limited edition digitals. And the question for you is, would you rather have physicals or digital? A collaborative journey at its core, Emaki is designed to be collaborative journey. Partnerships are essential for introducing our IP to new audiences, which a lot of the Web3 brands have that kind of desire. Simultaneously, our experience will reward participants with custom collectibles through these collaborations, which is kind of neat. And elevating the IP, Sega set the stage for our IP expansion, giving holders the opportunity to submit their Genkai for a chance to be featured throughout the CyberKongz story. And this is similar to what we saw with Azuki, where it was like, hey, submit your Azuki and you might get featured within the show. Doodles also talked about within that spaces, for anybody that didn't listen to the entire thing, about how some of the Doodles from the community members were like actually in there and tried to replicate the personalities of the different individuals. So I want to jump over to Project Dragon here for a second. If you guys missed the live stream for that and are interested in sitting down, seeing me absolutely complain, scream, and whine for like an hour and 45 minutes or whatever it was, be sure to check out a recent live tab on YouTube or back on X. I've noticed on X that it's now called like a broadcast after like 24 hours and it doesn't have the video and a little bit harder to see. I don't know if they're doing some kind of updates or whatever, but Garga put out this post prior to Project Dragon kind of going live, and it was basically a breakdown just saying, hey, this is going to totally break. This is going to be the worst setting of it, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, I love the fact that he kind of set those expectations, but boy, oh boy, was there was a lot of problems. So if you haven't seen what the game kind of looked like, for the first 30 minutes, there was this kind of waiting area. And I think there was a fair amount of tech difficulties because there was people in my chat coming through saying, hey, we're stuck in the queue. We can't get through. We can't select a team, all this other stuff. So they had Curtis, the big ape within this, talking kind of for the first 30 minutes. I don't think that was intentional, but there was some tech glitches with it. But as you can see within this video clip is the trail for it was actually from the Gucci pendants, which is really cool, where there was kind of like a visual representation within the games to show, hey, that person bought one of the Gucci components for it. Now, some different perspectives of it. Gabe said, my friends after Project Dragon, and they said, I sold everything, all listed. Okay. And shout out to Lurbs, who took a little bit of a screenshot while we were in there hanging out, rocking his biz in the metaverse. Now, this was kind of a hot take from Wave here, and I walked away being like very not impressed, to be totally truthful. I have an open mind. I'm willing to change. We'll see what the second one was, but it was not a great experience. So Wave says, is Project Dragon a colossal failure? Yuga needed to prove that they are capable of producing a fun video game. After today's demo, it is clear that they have not made any progress towards doing so. Project Dragon feels tedious, dry, and unresponsive, almost like it was designed by someone who only read about video games without ever actually playing one. Yuga keeps touching the high concurrent player count, but they have not demonstrated any gameplay justification. A few games focus on having hundreds of players simultaneously interacting because there is not sustainable gameplay reasoning for doing so. There is no authentic demand for the style of gameplay. Nothing showed today indicates that they have found a reason to justify contriving this feature. Now, it goes a little bit more, but I don't want to get you too bearish on this aspect because, I mean, there was certain parts that were okay about it. Like in terms of the metaverse world, it was fine. I think there was a big problem with just the aspect of it being dark. I know that might sound like a little bit weird, and I don't know if this was to hide like the quality of it, but why are we doing an event that's at like 1 p.m. and it's in this completely dark world where, you know, chaos is happening and whatnot? The bugs were literally unplayable because there was people that were invincible. the gun battling and whatnot. Again, when you had a shot, you could shoot like once and then you'd have to wait like 2 seconds to be able to shoot another one. It was like a shotgun. You had to be close, except it was forcing you to have like a long range. So it just felt awkward as is. The skating rail was like kind of cool with it. The fact that there was that many people, you couldn't tell the enemy. Like right here, he's shooting. And the only way you could tell was that little red dot that was above their head that's now gone. It wasn't clear whatsoever. And again, the game loop for it, Curtis, like the ape that was commentating throughout this whole thing, at one point even made a comment of like, I have no idea if like Orange is winning or losing this, because when you look at the scoreboard on the top, it just kind of like ticked down and it didn't really make sense. There was a map that had kind of a Star Wars Battlefront type-esque vibe to it, but it, again, you spawned in, you immediately died. There was a lot of things that felt really, really rough. And so the Meebits look cool though. That's one thing that I'll definitely give credit for. Meebits look cool. It was neat having the ape being able to be played within the experience and all the different people, but it was not enjoyable whatsoever. I didn't really have a good time. And that's just me being totally honest. So Jerry was commenting on some other people that were speaking negatively towards this, and he said they aren't making a game at all. They made a platform where you can buy a land and create your own event involving treasure hunts, killing monsters, collecting and crafting in a more intimate setting with your friends. Let me know when yours is ready so I can join. So this is also an interesting perspective, because then it goes into, okay, so Yuga's basically doing the same thing as what the Sandbox is doing, what Decentraland is doing, Futureverse and what seems like Readyverse is doing within those aspects, and the platform creators, okay, that's cool. It's kind of like the Fortnite model overall, but when we're putting out these things and saying, hey, like we're doing games, it was strange to me, because I joined a couple of spaces and kind of gave my thoughts of like, I didn't really like it, because I was shocked. The amount of people that were like, 10 out of 10, this was a great experience. I was pretty floored by it, but there was a lot of people that said, yeah, like I don't really game. I did it with my kids or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, well, if you were kind of just like joining in, smashing things, and it was like just sheer chaos, okay. But for anybody that's like, has any idea about games or plays them, like it didn't feel good. Now, with that said, they did do a reset after like the first half of the game, and it did feel like a little bit smoother, but it's still, I still had like a lot of questions about kind of like how they're going to shift it to a way that like the base game mode is going to be a lot of fun, ignoring the aspect of other people supposed to be creating things. Unpopular opinion: as I get older, all this looks disgusting. And for anybody on audio, it's Swiss rolls, cosmic brownies, a random dessert aisle, and like, to be honest, I think everybody is like aware of how bad like ingredients are and things nowadays, and you can just taste how awful it is. So Ether, they throw out the happy birthday message the other day. It was kind of wild that they haven't posted anything in a long time, and then all of a sudden they said SS 2024 collection, August 2024. So are they just dropping a a second companion collection for Ether? What's going on? What exactly is going on? Yo, shout out to Matty B. He's doing the TTK guild. So if anybody's looking for guilds within, I guess the Third Kingdom, I was going to say Readyverse, but we're not at that point yet per se. But the TTK guild, he's been doing that. I actually wrote like a little bit of a guide here, which was really, really neat. And the concept of everybody being out here, having the opportunity to create something special, exciting, and just something that they're into. If you guys are wanting a quick little guide of it, he does have it down there in the comments on his. And if you want to check it out, it's at Matt Bartlett VE. And I thought it was a pretty sweet guide. We're bringing back game guides, ladies and gentlemen. Highlight from Luca Nets at the San Diego Comic Pop-Up. Kind of cool. Long line, as per usual. Pudgy Penguins doing what Pudgy Penguins do, getting the attention of everybody. Talking about real-world assets, the on-chain verifiability, digital, yada, yada. There was this guy who's apparently a well-known collector. Now, he's on like a private jet, and half the comments are like, I don't feel bad for a guy in a private jet. But apparently they paid $80,000 for something, and it was tampered with. And I mean, no matter who you are, that just sucks. But it goes to the point of having the authenticity of things on chain. And if you can get the same enjoyment from something that's digital as is physical, and not have to worry about the fake that you just wasted $80,000 on, well, that sounds pretty damn good to me. Okay, guys, what's going on with the NFT space? This is crazy. So somebody went out and they bought one of this Cosmic Buzzies for like $2,000, and then immediately a couple hours later, somebody weethed one for like $400. If you're in the market for NFTs right now, and if the collections aren't very hot, I'm just throw out offers, because oh my god, man, do I ever feel bad about that. ApeChain, the hotel, ApeCoin, not ApeChain, excuse me. The hotel proposal is ending shortly, and apparently everybody said, hell yeah, we want a hotel that's all based around ApeCoin. Are we going to have that with other different coins that are out there? You have to think about it, right? There's Illuvium, Guild of Guardians, Root. Why is ApeChain having this one where there's going to be a hotel based off of it? Is that like big enough on a grand scale where people are like, hell yeah, we want to go and spend this at a hotel? Apparently. Some news from Doodles, officially presenting Doodles Records and its first project, the Dullsville and the Doodleverse. Listen, I feel like they could have come up with like a better name for this, like Dullsville and Doodleverse. Unless, I mean, I guess when you think of like Dullsville, it's supposed to be like dark, not exciting, and Doodles are kind of like this fun rainbow puke type of deal. But produced by Pharrell, featuring a whole bunch of rather large artists within the scene. So back to the comments that we were seeing earlier from the Doodles CEO. Again, the mass sale, the interest of all these different celebrities are rocking NFTs again. People made fun of those who had Bored Apes as their profile. Are they going to say, wow, this is great when Doodles have it? And is that celebrity narrative coming back, even though we just saw a whole bunch of celebrities entering the space in a bad way? Maybe. Forgotten Ruins Wizard Cult is having their, I think it's called like private test, coming up very shortly, but they did reach 100,000 followers on their X account, which is awesome. Congrats to them. Cool to see the heights that Web3 collections are reaching. Big Bag BTC is saying today is the 29th, the day Ledger promised all batch 2 Ledger Stacks pre-orders from 2022 would be shipped. Yet here I am still waiting for a shipment. At Ledger, this is another letdown while you focus on launching new products. And that's the link for it. But it's kind of hilarious because if you haven't seen, and I saw this earlier, as you can see this with their new cover photo, they already have like another variation that they're out there calling it the Ledger Flex. Ledger Flex marks the new standard for Ledger devices, featuring a secure e-ink touchscreen, NFC, and our new security key app that will allow you to go from painful logins to passwordless ease, all from your secure Ledger device. I don't understand why the stacks haven't been sent out. Maybe that's just like a singular instance and we found the one person where that hasn't. But again, kind of a weird look. They're like, hey, we're shipping a product when the other one hasn't come out. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's Web3 for you. Carl, some great roundup and highlights of things within the Web3 space you might not have seen. Futurama talking about NFTs. So the first episode of the new season with NFT focus, Bender creates a collection of himself and NFTs get explained. Here's a quick little screenshot of that. We're breaking through on the mainstream media. That's just hilarious, to be honest. And then also, I think we actually highlighted this on the time that it happened, but Tim Sweeney from Epic Games talking a little bit about cryptocurrency, blockchain, and everything within Fortnite, which there's been hints at with Futureverse having some kind of connection to that. We'll see if there's anything that actually comes to fruition. But the comment, I'll just read it for you, says, cryptocurrency in Fortnite, no. But blockchain, perhaps someday as decentralized solution to distributed transactional evolution of simultaneous state computed among participants in an open ecosystem. What an absolute ridiculous verbiage. Who the frig writes stuff like that? Are they just trying to tell you, hey, I'm smarter than you and I'm gonna make words that you don't even know how to pronounce, Brewy? Also, we're still trying to get rocking in here with the gods and goblins. Listen, we're at level 13 on the brain. What a grind. I forgot I had RuneScape open and we just absolutely tossed our butt. Unbelievable. All right, well, that's it for this edition of XFeed. Weekend's kind of, quiet overall. Try to find some different things. I am curious, though, do we see kind of a drop-off for August where the Web3 teams are like, hey, it's the summer months. We're having vacation. The market's not that exciting. Wow. I mean, listen, I was going to say the market's not that exciting, but didn't we wake up today and things were absolutely freaking mooning? We're back up to 63 on the greed chart. Bitcoin looks like down because I was like, okay, what? Crashing, brother. Listen, we were looking like a primer here. Something happened at around 9:30 a.m. and we just took a dumper. But over the weekend, again, the Bitcoin conference seemed like it's got some positive action within the market. But of course, well, I mean, I guess we're just going to wait and see. But Miss Yahunar, thank you for coming on through, good sir. And everybody that watches on the VOD afterwards and hasn't said anything but tuning in. Thank